Hey guys, Ryan here with Anglers, and today I am obviously not actually in Anglers. I am in my personal shop, and I am going to be rigging up for myself some Spanish mackerel rigs. I personally really enjoy trolling, especially for Spanish mackerel. It's a little bit more fun for me than rockfish trolling because you are traveling at a bit higher speed for those mackerel than rockfish. For example, you're going 2.5 to 3.5 knots for rockfish, and when you're trolling for Spanish mackerel, you want to be going about 6 to 8 knots. So it's a lot of fun, and I'm going to be using a setup similar to this one here with a planer to a leader and then a trolling spoon. So something like this. I have this on an Andy rod and an Akuma level wind reel. Nothing special. So in this video, I am going to show you how to rig up for Spanish mackerel trolling. And today I'm going to be rigging up 5 rigs for a 5 rod spread, which is pretty popular to run here in the bay, especially trolling with these planers. 5 rods is just easy to manage. You can do it with one person, or you could do it with 5 people. So pretty fun way to catch the Spanish mackerel, coming up towards kind of our area, working their way up there. Poplar Island right now, but we will see how it progresses through the month of September, and maybe even, if we're lucky, early October. So with that being said, let's get started. First thing I have here on the table is these leader wheels. I really like using these. They just keep these rigs really organized and compact. So I have 5 of these here for 5 rigs. So they're pretty inexpensive, and they help with organizing those rigs. So less of a headache, worth it in my opinion. So with that being said, let's get started on what planers I'm going to be using. So here on the table I have Sea Striker planers. We also sell planers from Boone, but what I'm going to be using is size 1s and size 2s. So these planers are going to get down around 15-20 feet for the number 1s, and then a little bit deeper for the number 2s. It's kind of hard to say exactly how far they're going to get down because it all depends on speed and what you're running behind them, and of course what your diameter your line is. It all is very complicated, and it is really just a ballpark of where your lures are going to be running. So it's really about trial and error and trying to figure out on your own where your rigs are going to sit. So with that being said, I'm going to be running for the first half of my rig 50-pound trickfish monofilament, and then for the second half, right before the spoon, 30-pound Seagar fluorocarbon. And then for the actual spoons, I'm going to be running 3 00 size spoons from Spoon Squid. These are the 00 with the gold tape on the back and the silver spoon. These also do have a ball bearing on them, so it makes it a lot easier, a lot less line twist. Really quality spoon, and in that size that I really like, because those mackerel are feeding on really small fish like bay anchovies right now. And then the second one I'm going to be using is from Hardhead Custom Baits. I have one in a white and silver color, and then I have one in a white and pink color. So this is by far my favorite. It is a number 1. It is the biggest size I will use for these mackerel. So like I said, they're feeding on really small fish, but this is not a big spoon. So with that being said, I also have terminal tackle. So I have these from Owner. These are regular ball bearing swivels, and then I also have ball bearing snap swivels from Owner as well, both in the 100-pound test class. Alright guys, so I have everything set out on the table here to make one of these mackerel rigs. So again, starting with this leader wheel, This is not necessary for the rig, but it is very useful for storage of this rig once you are done making it. So these leader wheels can save a lot of headaches by preventing a lot of tangles, and they're very easy to store these rigs with. So moving on, we have your planer, which is going to be first from your rod. And then we have our ball bearing snap swivel. That is then going to connect to our 50-pound test mono. And 50-pound test is not necessary. I personally like that thicker diameter line because you are going to be hand lining these last couple feet when you are reeling in this fish, because once your planer hits the tip of your rod, you can't reel anymore, and then you're going to have another 15 to 20 feet from that. So this 50-pound test is just easier on the hands when you are hand lining that fish in that last 20 feet or so. And then in between the 50-pound test mono and the 30-pound fluorocarbon, we're going to have another ball bearing. This is just going to be a regular ball bearing swivel that we're going to use to tie these two together. Prevents line twists, and again, prevents a lot of headache. So then obviously we have our 30-pound fluorocarbon to our spoon. So I know this can sound kind of complicated, but really once you see it all put together, it is not too bad for the average fisherman. So without further ado, we are going to get started on that. So first, we're going to pull out, I like about 15 feet of this 50-pound monofilament. And this does not have to be exact, guys. Some people do like it to be exactly like every one of their rigs to be the same, which is perfectly fine, but this does not have to be down to a science. So we're going to take one of these snap swivels, and I'm going to be using a uni knot for every one of the connections in this rig. So it is pretty simple to do. As you can see, just put the line through your lure or snap swivel, and then you're going to double it over. You're going to take your tag end here, and you're going to make just a simple loop with it, just like that. And I'll show you again. Take your tag end, and you're going to make a loop, and you want to make sure you have enough tag end here to do your actual knot, which is going to be, you're going to take this tag end and put it through the loop, attaching that loop and the main line. So you see you have your main line and your loop. You're going to go through the loop and around that main line like such. And you're going to do that 4 to 6 times, I'd say. I'm going to do it 4 here because I do have heavier line. Heavier line is better for knots. So you do not need as many loops there. So as you can see, I just pulled it tight with my teeth there, and it should. You can also wet this knot, and it is going to make that slide down just like that. Yank on that tag end a little bit. And some people will crimp 50-pound mono. You do not have to when doing this. It does make it a little bit faster sometimes, but I believe that this knot is going to be plenty strong for reeling in these Spanish mackerel. So we're going to do that and trim our tag end. And this snap swivel is going to connect to this brass grommet in our planer. So we're just going to do that now and put this rig together as we go. So you're just gonna go in there, snap it tight, obviously, and then we're gonna take the other end of our 12 to 15, maybe 16 feet of mono, and we are going to go to this ball bearing swivel. All right, so same thing here with the uni knot. We are going to go in with our line, double it over, make our loop with our tag end, pull enough tag end, go through 4 times, pull that tight, wet it if necessary, and you're going to pull slowly. Sometimes that knot may need a little bit of help getting down, but it should cinch up very nicely like that, and then we can trim our tag end. All right, so now that we have that first part of our leader done from our planer, we are then going to do about 4 to 6 feet of this 30-pound fluorocarbon that is eventually going to get to our spoon. So I'm going to go ahead, pull out about 5 feet of this fluorocarbon. Again, does not have to be exact. Some anglers do like their stuff to be exactly the same all the time, so they will measure it. Me personally, I do not. All right, so again, this is our 50-pound mono. We're gonna take that ball bearing swivel, and we're gonna do the same thing with the uni knot on the other side of this swivel. So this is a little bit lighter line, so I may go do 5 or 6 wraps with this. All right. Pull that tight, wet our knot. Should cinch down nicely like that. All right. So now we have that. And then at the end of this, obviously, we are going to tie our spoon. So again, dull 0 size spoon from Spoon Squid. Going to use the one with the gold tape on it. And again, with that uni knot to the spoon. All right. Trim that tag in. And that is your mackerel trolling rig. So again, spoon to 4 to 6 feet of 30-pound fluorocarbon. Then we have our ball bearing swivel tied to our 15 to 18 feet of 50-pound mono. To our ball bearing snap swivel that then connects to our number 1 size planer, and then that ring is going to go onto your rod. So that's it, guys. It's pretty time consuming, but very well worth it tying these yourselves. And it's gonna obviously give you a lot of practice on knot tying. That uni knot is very useful, but not necessary to use a uni knot. There's a million knots out there. Everyone's gonna have their favorite, and always remember, tie the one you're comfortable with. So that is one rig, and I'm going to sit here and do 4 more. Alright guys, so now I'm all set to go mackerel trolling with a 5-rod spread. I have 5 rigs here, all nice and neat on these reels. And again, minimalizing tangles so that we can have all of our stuff ready to go right here. Every rig is ready to be snapped onto a planer, snap that planer onto a rod, and you're ready to put that line in the water. Trolling around 6 to 8 knots for these mackerel. So yeah, that is pretty simple. It took me about 20 minutes to do all 4 or 5 of these. And yeah, so definitely encourage you guys to pick up everything you saw in this video here and try and make your own rigs. And now if you are not up to the task or not sure you want to put that much into starting to troll for mackerel, we do have some completely pre-made rigs. They are going to come with a planer, a Clark spoon, and it is going to come with that leader already made in one package. So if that's the option you want to go with, you can do that also. But I strongly encourage fishermen and fisherwomen to make their own stuff. It just really makes you better overall. You have practice doing your knots, and you really feel that feeling of accomplishment when you make your own rig and it works out for you out there on the bay.